What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 3 of the Madden 19 improvement series. This is going to be a 5 or 6 episode long series that really outlines the issues with Madden 18 and what needs to be improved going into Madden 19. And you know, this isn't just my opinion, this is community opinion. I took certain polls and have certain tweets that really outline some really good points. But this episode is called the Gun Bunch Problem, or the Bunch Problem. And you know, the title's not completely fair because it comes across as me putting all the blame on Gun Bunch as well as Gun Bunch users, which is not the case, and I'll be going into that in a second. The way I'm going to break it up, I'm going to first talk about what the bunch problem is, and then I'm going to eventually talk about the solution. So I'll break it up that way. Let's get right into it. So what I want to do first is really talk about the strengths of this formation and what makes this formation extremely OP from a passing point of view. And some of this information might be some stuff that you guys know already, but for a more casual player, I just want to really help you guys understand why this formation is really good. And this is the West Coast playbook, which is the most popular playbook in the game. And this formation is the best passing formation in the entire game. I don't think that's up for debate. It makes you feel very comfortable passing even against 91 zones. You know, I played Weekend League 2 weeks ago with my friend's squad, and it was really hard to pass without using Gun Bunch. I mean, really hard. Like, I can see why people are encouraged to run 20-30 times a game, because 91 zones clamp, man. You can't even run common flood concepts because a cloud flat can play everything. It can play the corner, it can play the flat, and you really need stuff that gets over and gets under 91 zone. So Gun Bunch week, and a couple of the plays are going to be so dig HB out. You have corner strike, which has been a staple for years. We also have PA slot post. It's not quite as good as it used to be. It was really good at the beginning of the year, but I think 91 zones on MUT can now play that angled post pretty well. But we also have mesh post, which is a backbreaker of a play, and I'm going to use this play to kind of illustrate my point. So let's go against 3-4, random 3-4 formation that we're going against doesn't really matter. So the number one thing here that makes this formation good is the ability to pick up pressure with ease. So we're going to max protect. That's going to give us 7 blockers, and the way I like to look at it is we have 4 blockers on each side, and that's including the center. So if they're trying to overload the left, we have 4 blockers. We have the center, left guard, left tackle, and the running back. And what that does to kill an overload is, an overload or any kind of blitz designed in Madden really is used or designed to put an offensive lineman into conflict. So like maybe put the left guard into conflict and make him really do nothing, make him stand there and do nothing. And you can't do that against this formation because we have incredible balance. So we have the running back who's going to pick up edge pressure. We have a tight end who's going to pick up edge pressure. They're both on opposite sides, and it just creates extreme balance in the blocking scheme. And then when it comes to sending inside pressure, the offensive line is not going to spread thin. They know they have outside help, so they can stay really compact, tight, and pick up any kind of looping linebackers. So you just really can't get pressure consistently against a max protect Gun Bunch. So that's the number one strength. Number 2, you know, you can put A on a streak here, and we now have an effective 3-man route combo that is going to put a user in conflict. So we're going to motion Edelman out a few steps, and we now have this drag that's open for 5 yards, break a tackle, maybe get 10. We have the post. We have a simple high-low read. Look at that, all that pressure. It's not going to get in unless I get some kind of really crazy shed. So we have an easy high-low read over the middle of the field. Right here is man coverage. You know, Edelman's getting covered pretty well on that post, but generally speaking, that post beats everything. It has to be usered. And I want to also say, yes, guys, there are adjustments you can make to slow down this play. I'm not saying this play is invincible, but my whole point of this is that it's ridiculous that you can have a 3-man route combo and have success consistently. Because in real life, the only time a 3-man route combo works is whenever you have a play action shot play. and that's if you're running the ball really well, and then you like come out in like a strong formation, and you block a tight end and a fullback in efforts to get a big play downfield. Like, generally speaking, that's the only time 3-man route combos will work. Like, this is a joke that this works so consistently. Boom, just like that, pick up 15 yards on a simple drag. Even on 91 zones, it's going to work because cloud flats are trying to bracket that post. And a user's probably going to have to take the post as well, and the drags can get open. Just like that. So here's my problem with it. This is not good for the longevity of the game because there's so many people who play Madden in efforts to get a game that kind of replicates real football. And when somebody is doing this on them all game, it's not entertaining. It really isn't. Like, even when I run it against people, it is not fun. It's not, doesn't take any skill because you're really only making 2 reads and they're like really easy to make. There's no skill involved. You run this on your little brother, you run it on one of your friends. You can run this play all game. Like, legit, I could do it to one of my friends and he'd be extremely pissed and he would never want to play Madden again. And that kind of proves the point, because if Madden can be as simple as picking a play that is just way overpowered because it requires user attention, there's a problem with this formation, or at least, you know, about the different kind of play calls that we can select in Madden that give us a fair chance to move the ball, especially against 91 zones. So that's it for what I'm going to show you from these setups. I'm going to talk about why this is a problem in the grand scheme of things, as well as how to fix it. In this section, I really want to touch on the effects that an overpowered formation can have on a game like Madden, as well as the ramifications it can have towards building Madden into a prominent esport. And that's something that EA is clearly trying to do. Ultimate League, it has for the most part been a complete failure, at least in my opinion, because of the format. It's not good to spread it out like that. You know, I tuned in last week, they had like 1,000 viewers, which if anybody from EA is watching, I truly don't mean to shit on your parade, but you know, 1,000 is pathetic. You look at a esport like Overwatch and they get like 150,000 viewers as soon as they go live. And you know, I'm sure Madden has that potential. It really does, because in this country, football is king. Football rules all, man. And the problem is Madden does not really compare directly to football, and we have to find a way to bridge that divide to really maximize this game as well as the viewership. So one of my issues with Gun Bunch is I personally don't think it's fun to watch. So I asked a question on Twitter, which I invite any of you guys to follow me on Twitter at AceMaddenTips. It's greatly appreciated because I can ask these polls and get valuable information from you guys. But I asked this poll, is Gun Bunch boring to watch on stream? 52% said yes, 48% said no. So what that tells me immediately is they have a huge problem, because half the viewer base enjoys it or enjoys watching anything, and then half, if not more than half, do not enjoy it at all because it's just not entertaining. And you know, I have a friend who's a really big football fan, and he watches like almost all of the games. And I showed him one of the EA majors, and you know, asked what he was thinking of it, and he said this is really not enjoyable to watch. And I asked why. He said because there's no variety. People are running the same blitzes, running the same plays. I'm like, yeah, I get that. You know, these people are running different setups for each play. You know that, right? It's not just the play you see in the play call screen. They're like, okay, yeah, I understand that, but you know, in football, there's more strategy, and you know, you're seeing different plays and different personnel and all that kind of stuff. You're not seeing all this kind of wacky stuff. And I get his point completely. For a more casual person who's like a football fan and doesn't really play Madden, you know, you're not going to watch an esport or watch a video game where people are using the same shit all game. So this is where I get into the solution aspect of how we can really repair this. So my initial solution was pretty stupid in hindsight. Now I think it's fair, the solution I had, but you know, there's a better one. And my initial one was just nerf Gun Bunch by removing the tight end's ability to block. And to me, you know, I still think that's kind of a fair nerf. If Gun Bunch was going to get nerfed, I think that's the way to do it. But the more extreme nerf would be to take away the stock routes that have to be usered. But, you know, after having a conversation with Boogs, who is a pro player, and, you know, he is a little biased because he is a Gun Bunch user, but I still agree with what he said. And that is, if Gun Bunch is nerfed, that is just going to narrow the playbooks even more. And that's an excellent point, because my thought process was, if you nerf Gun Bunch, that is going to force people into other formations. And first of all, I thought about, okay, in Madden 18, what formations can you really pass consistently out of against 91 zone? And the answer was really none. Like, there's none that really come to mind that, like, you can consistently pass on 91 zone and feel comfortable, except for Gun Bunch. So if Gun Bunch didn't exist in this year's game and zones still acted the way they act, we would get a game that was like 90% run heavy, and that's not good. So what we need to do, the real solution here, is to expand the playbooks. So get rid of all the plays that have completely stupid routes that make no sense. And, you know, like, there's routes that are like 30-yard post routes. Like, they make their break at 30 yards. It makes no sense. They're going to get covered by every single safety in the game, and they serve no purpose. So if you're going to have zones acting a certain way, get rid of the routes that make no sense. And then after you do that, you're going to plug in plays that make sense, have routes that are usable and customizable, and you need to just have the ability to attack both sides of the field as well. You can't have a formation that you can attack the right side of the field really well and then have nothing to do on the left side of the field at all. Like, you need to have balance. Otherwise, you know, there's no unpredictability, and that formation is no longer appealing. You also need to have the ability to pick up pressure consistently out of other formations. You can't just have a balanced blocking scheme by blocking 7 with Gun Bunch and then have a route that needs to be usered so you can have an effective 3-man route concept. Like, it's not the way to play offense, and it's not really appealing. So you either need to remove those routes that need to be usered completely out of every single formation, which is really hard to do, or you need to expand the amount of routes that need to be usered so you get more creativity there out of different formations. So, I mean, that's basically the only solution I could come up with, is just expansion with the playbooks. Just create more formations, more plays, and that's going to, you know, hopefully promote creativity and variety. So if anybody has a better solution or has any thoughts at all on this topic, let me know in the comment section. I'm definitely curious to hear from you guys. Follow me on Twitter at Ace Madden Tips. That way I can get more opinions through polls and stuff like that. But that's it for episode 3. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.